Merrimack TV content may no longer be available on YouTube. To continue watching our programs, please download the Merrimack TV app from your device's app store. Programs may also be available at merrimacktv.com.
Next up. All right. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call to order the Merrimack Planning Board July 1st meeting. Let's see. Please give the usual reminder. Make sure that the microphones are on if you come up to present and clearly speak into the microphone. The green light will turn on. You'll know that it's actually on. The next planning board meeting is currently set for July 15th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. in the Matthew Thornton room, which is right here. Other than that, let's do a Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let's see. We have 3 vacant seats, so Nelson, Lynn, and Justin will be placed in for Neil in the 2 vacant seats. Let's see. All right. First off, so there has been an error with some abutter notifications, and the following items have been moved to the July 15th meeting in this room. The 376 Daniel Webster Car Wash and Start and Realty, the 8 Depot Street LLC, review to convert the existing single-family home into a 4-unit multifamily dwelling, and the Merrimack Premium Outlets. Is anybody here for the Merrimack Premium Outlets? No. All right, and that is also moved for the conceptual discussion regarding the proposal to develop the portion into a multifamily residential unit. All right, now, good? So far, so good. All right, annual meeting. So, we have to elect officers and review of rules of procedure. So, we need to elect a chair and a vice chair, and that's it. So,
I'll move Colleen will be the continuing chair.
is there a second?
Second. No, that's okay.
All right, so motion made by Lynn, seconded by Pete. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those abstaining? The motion moves. Was that 7-0-0? All right, and then on the vice chair.
I will nominate Karen.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, the motion made by Lynn and seconded by Nelson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those abstaining? Motion moved 7-0-0. All right, and no change. Proposed rules of procedure. All right, this consent agenda? Is there anything that we need to know?
Is there any discussion about the rules of procedure?
Oh.
No, we're not adopting anything, but I don't know if the board had any questions. There's no proposed changes since last year.
Nelson?
Yeah, I had one
Please do.
question.
Mike?
What?
Mike?
There we go.
Thank you, Nelson.
Got the green light. I had a question. Back in the day, it used to be the privilege of the chair to call a meeting as required if something came up.
Okay.
That he could call it. That's not provided for in these
I didn't know that.
procedures that I can see. Casey, did I miss it, or?
I saw it.
No, I don't see that in your rules of procedure. I don't know if that needs to be in it. I mean, as
I don't
long
think
as
so.
we have notification requirements, so a meeting has to be posted 24 hours in advance for you guys to have a meeting. But Nelson, if you want that added into the rules of procedure, that's something that we could probably do.
Okay, I would feel better, because it used to be in there,
Okay.
and it may or may not be necessary, but
I would have a problem putting it in because notifications, the abutter notifications and everything have changed over the past few years. And so if Halim calls a meeting and we haven't notified abutters, we're in trouble. So I think
Yes.
we leave it to the Community Development Department to call them when we need them.
well, does he have the authority to call a meeting if he needs one? I guess
No.
that's troubling to me.
I don't think so.
So section 5, or section E under section 5, special meetings, doesn't cover that?
Yeah. 5E.
Yeah.
Does it?
I thought it covered it. It sounds like it, unless I'm missing something.
Peak. Section E.
It looks like it does, since it says that a special meeting may be called by the chair or vice chair. Notice shall be given 48 hours in advance.
All right, so we are covered with
You're
a
correct.
butter.
Is that acceptable, Nelson?
Although it does say that no business shall be acted upon at a special meeting unless a quorum of members is physically present, and notice has to specify the purpose of the meeting.
Yes.
Well, that's normal anyway.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I didn't see it my first time through.
That's okay. Good. Excellent. We'll move. All right. Can I move to the consent agenda? All right. Is there anything that we need to know? Does everybody?
So it's just the regional impact determinations, and we are not recommending them to be any of regional impacts.
All right. Is there a motion to accept the agenda?
I will so move.
All right. Motion made by Lynn. Oh, Nelson.
I was seconding.
Oh, I've got John.
You're
Motion
okay. All right.
made by Lynn, seconded by John. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, all those abstaining, motion moves 700. All right, on to Marianne Picard and Rachel Cecile Picard Revocable Trust. Review for acceptance of and consideration of a site plan to raise an existing single-family dwelling and construct a 3-unit multifamily building. The parcel is located at the 44 Daniel Webster Highway in the I-1 Aquifer Conservation and Planned Residential Overlay Tax District, Tax Map 2E Lot 1, Case Planning Board 2025-10. This item has been continued from the May 6th and June 3rd meetings. Is staff recommends the
Mr.
board
Chair?
tables- Yes, sir.
I'm going to make a motion that this matter at this point be tabled
Yes, sir.
until further notice from Community Development.
Understood. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right. Motion made by Peter and seconded by Nelson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those abstained. All those opposed. Motion moves 700. All right. Next item on the agenda. Ferris Enterprises LLC applicant owner review for acceptance and consideration of a site plan to construct a 2-story, 9,870 square foot office warehouse building with associated site improvements. The parcel is located at the 101 Herrick Street in the C2 General Commercial, I-1 Industrial, and Aquifer Conservation Districts. It is tax map 3D-2, lot 20, case planning board 2025-12. This item has been continued from May 6th and June 3rd. Good evening, gentlemen. Fantastic. I know Pete will be pleased.
Monitors are off.
All right. I know.
Those go together. Okay, got it. I'm under control. Surprising.
Oh.
All right, good evening. My name is Chuck Ritchie. I'm with Fieldstone. Do you guys want a little recap? Perfect.
A little recap, if you don't mind, please,
All right,
for those of us that weren't here.
sure. Good evening. Again, my name is Chuck Ritchie. I'm with Fieldstone Land Consultants. I'm joined by Christopher Gaida. We're here representing Ferris Enterprises LLC for their proposed commercial development over on Herrick Street and Daniel Webster Highway intersection. We were back before you guys last month in June. Discussing this project. We had a couple outstanding items at that meeting that we just recently submitted some of those items, and we got Fuss and O'Neill comments back last week that we addressed. And I'd like to just run through what the board's comments were, so we can kind of touch on all of that as we go. The first item was the board was just curious, I believe, on where the water goes. So the site is let's see. The site is. Oh, there we go. So the site has a little wetlands on the east side here. You can see we've zoomed out a little bit with the building on the left. And the wetlands flow south. There's a culvert in the highway that drains onto the site. That goes into the wetlands, and that goes south under Star Drive there. You can see those commercial buildings, and ultimately down to the river. We're reducing the flow on site with our infiltration basin, but the board was just curious kind of what that looked like, coming from those wetlands. It looks like there's a ditch, on the south where it makes that bend along the Star Drive there. I was out there earlier, it's still a little wet out back. But just a little exhibit kind of depicting the drainage there. The other comment was we wanted to see the turning template for the site. The largest vehicle we're expecting is a 50-foot semi-tractor trailer, which we've shown, coming onto the site. In talks with our client, they're looking to rent the part of the building out to Granite State, I believe, Plumbing and Heating. Granite Group. Sorry, Granite Group Supply House. And they wanted a loading dock for the tractor trailer trucks to be able to unload on site if they're going to be able to get in there. So we've added a loading dock to the top there, that little square building. And then associated with that, we had to remove some parking spots on the right to allow that turning, and then we added some to the bottom, as well as relocating the handicap to the south side of the building. That was the other. So we're good on turning. The other one.
Excuse me, so tractor trailers are gonna come straight in along the back of the building?
Yep.
And then they're gonna back into the loading dock?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, it's 4-foot loading dock so they can unload without.
Now, on their entry, the tractor trailer coming in, is he gonna have to swerve out into the opposite lane of traffic to get in, or can he make the turn in directly?
He's going to swerve out a little
Yeah.
bit. He's got,
He'll have to.
maybe a truck length.
Okay. Same
It's-
on the exit,
Yeah, he's going to be on the right
to
side.
get on Herrick Street, okay.
Right.
All right.
It's a low traffic road, but yeah, it's going to be big enough that you would need to do that. And then the other thing the board was curious about, we had requested a waiver for building facade recesses. So we kind of took the board's comments, and came up with an updated architectural renderings here. I can kind of just run through some of the changes.
Much better.
The big one being color. We're going for a two-tone, kind of split the top half off. A little, coverings over the doors and windows to break it up. And then I checked the regulations. I didn't see any building height regulations, so we're looking to do a cupola on top. We've got that 140-foot length, and you're going to be looking down at the building almost. So,
That's great.
just taking the board's thoughts in and kind of making it a little less industrial. When we get to the waivers, we can talk a little bit more about that if you'd like, but
This looks good.
I just thought I'd share that. And then, let's see, the last kind of comment that I have was the wetlands, the stormwater wetlands on site. Fuss and O'Neill had reviewed those and agreed with our wetland report that it's fed by the two pipes coming from the highway. And I believe the planning staff had reached out to the state as well, if I'm not mistaken, in the staff report, and said, the state had agreed similarly that, it's not naturally occurring wetland, not naturally occurring hydrology, so it wasn't really their jurisdiction. That's, kind of the updates we've got. It's pretty similar to before, but if the board has any questions, happy to answer. Thank you.
All right, board. Any questions, comments?
It does say something here about the wastewater division wants to have, I guess you have one sampling port now, and they want there to be 2 units?
Yes, so we're gonna have two renters of the building, Ferris and Granite. And so the wastewater wants to see 2 separate outlets of 2 bathroom lines coming out of the building. I did take a look. I looked through the recommended conditions, and we're happy to work with the sewer department. We've addressed some of the comments that Fuss and O'Neill had on that, but those final details we didn't have any issues with.
Okay, great.
Any other comments?
Just
Yes, sir.
appreciate you including that. It was kind of an off topic, but showing us where the water outlets. Appreciate that.
Yeah, it's, you're welcome.
All right. So in the last meeting, we had accepted 3 of the 5 waivers. Currently, they're asking for a waiver of the facade breakup and the window construction details.
And I don't think we need either of those now, because he's broken up the
So does it
facade.
not, do we need to vote on these if it breaks it?
No, if they meet the conditions, they don't need the waivers, so you
Okay.
would
Right.
not need to vote
All
on
right.
it.
So we're good. Okay.
All right. So what do we have on recommends the following general conditions for commercial waivers? So is there, so we don't have to, so Casey, what do we, we're granting, we don't have waivers to grant.
Yeah, it's up to the board. I think that it likely meets the regs, and the waivers probably don't apply anymore. If the board feels that this design only partially meets the reg, then maybe you could vote on the waivers, but I feel like it meets the intent, like the redesign
Yeah.
meets the intent of our site plan regulations. I do have a couple of questions for the applicants, if I
Please,
ask them.
yes, please, I apologize, yes.
And it's about the wastewater design. I just wanted to make sure that you saw the comments about connecting the wastewater to the Herrick Street rather than Daniel Webster Highway. How did you feel about that condition from the sewer division?
I just drove by there today. It looks like the vet had extended, I think, water and sewer up right there.
Yep.
And I did meet with Merrimack Village District the other week on water, and they were telling us about other options. But we'd be if that's their preferred and it works just as well, we'd certainly look at that and be willing to work with them.
Okay. As drafted right now, the recommended conditions would require you to connect on Herrick, and so I just wanted you to be
Oh.
aware.
I think that would be fine.
The other concern I had, and I would ask the board to, if they do vote to conditionally approve tonight, but to require that the site plan page very specifically says the amount of units that are, is being approved tonight. So it sounds like it's 2. And then also to make the purpose statement really clear on like the kind of businesses that are being approved. So for example, like if a tenant came by and it was like a manufacturing use, with this approval, we wouldn't sign a CO for a manufacturing company to move into
We'd have
this
to come
building.
back.
Yeah, they'd have to come back to the board to change the use. So I just want the board to know what they're approving, and then for you as the applicant to know like what is being approved. So just some clarity on that tonight.
Sure.
Yep.
Casey? So if we vote to approve this, to grant conditional final, what are the 2 conditions we need to add to it? Number of units and use, okay.
I'm still looking for the landscaping plan. Is there a landscaping plan you submitted today? So where'd you go?
I believe there is, yeah.
Sorry, I talked with the client. Yeah. That landscape is. Is there any questions?
So it looks,
Yeah.
well, it looks
Do
like
you
you got a
mind
number.
giving Nelson just giving us a brief overview of your landscaping plan? Can you just go over what your plans are for landscaping, if you don't mind? Just a brief overview
Sure.
of what you have proposed.
Is
So
it in this package?
Yes,
that
sir.
you've given us?
yes,
Yeah.
page 8 of 15 of the plan set.
What is 15? I'm sorry.
8 of 15
8. D1.
landscaping
Nelson,
plan.
if you look at the screen, you'll see what it looks like.
Well,
see if it matches the,
So it looks like you get trees.
There's no landscaping up on Route 3, is that true?
So we
Yes, it
calculated the
is.
number of trees that were required based on the perimeter of the parking. Requiring 16 trees on site is what we calculated, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them right along the highway here to try to kind of provide a little buffer. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The other 9 along the entrance and Herrick Street. We've got a mixture of, I think some oak trees and some ash trees kind of sprinkled throughout. They're these little circular, leafy-looking symbols.
Along Route 3, what are those trees there? Can't tell from here.
We got an oak, couple oaks in a row, an ash here, a few more oaks and an ash at the top.
Good mixture. Okay.
All right. Okay, at this point, I'm going to open to the public hearing. Is there anybody that would like to speak to this project? And with that, doesn't look like anybody is, so I'll close the public hearing. All right. Board?
Can I clarify something that
Yes, please.
Casey recommended?
Yeah.
I think we'd like to request that it be 4 units, with the intent for Granite to be renting 3 of them.
Okay.
So if they have too much space, we can change uses. But right now, it would just be Ferris and Granite
All right.
supply. So we're happy to add those notes if the board is acceptable to those uses.
So if you go to 4 units, is wastewater going to want you to put in 4 separate bathroom facilities?
I imagine so,
Okay.
but it gives us the option of 4.
Okay,
Oh,
good. Excellent.
yeah, I guess.
Do you have any other questions, Nelson?
No, I don't at this time.
Okay. At this time, board, we are at the point where we have to make a decision if
You
this
want a
is accepted or
motion?
not. If we're looking for a motion, yeah.
I will move that the board grant conditional final approval to the application, subject to the recommended conditions presented in the staff memo dated June 27th, 2025, and subject to the number of units proposed as 4 and the use as proposed. Does that work, Casey?
Yeah, so as of right now, the purpose statement on the site plan page, it says, the purpose of this plan is to depict the development of the parcel into an office/garage building with associated site improvements. And then the note on the cover sheet, let's see, they're calling this, a building for plumbing and HVAC. So they, just for clarity, because I always think, like, how is someone gonna interpret this plan, like, 10 years from now? Like, maybe adding in a few other uses in that purpose statement, like storage or warehousing or whatever kind of uses might be moving in there, just so it's very clear, like, what kind of tenants can be rented out of there. So possibly the applicant.
So storage,
Yeah.
warehouse?
I'm just throwing ideas out there.
I
I'm
know,
not.
I'm just
yeah.
asking for more ideas.
Manufacturing,
Okay.
because if a manufacturing use is approved there, then wastewater division, they would have more conditions to place on this project.
Okay.
So I don't know if the applicant can speak to that. They could
Yeah.
just be happy with the way it is now. That's totally fine. It's just we've had scenarios where these warehouse buildings get approved, and then they get this tenant that they can't actually accept, which has been a problem before.
Are you
Yeah.
okay with just the 2 uses?
Yeah, if you can come up, just introduce yourself.
My name's Matt Ferris. So we have a 5-year lease with Granite Group right now. Granite Group's a plumbing and HVAC warehouse, and then I'm going to be using about 3,000 square feet. So I don't see them moving anytime soon, and neither do I. So whatever is going to make this process go smooth, I'm fine with. So
Are they going to have retail sales at that location?
Yeah, people will be driving in to, grabbing, it's like a grab and go facility. It's not gonna be, not for, homeowners, more for contractors.
So a term that we tend to use in Merrimack is a contractor's yard. So
Yep.
maybe, if Fieldstone agrees to this, that might be a term to put in that purpose statement. And I'm not trying to speak for you, but I just don't want you to have issues down the road where you're, 10 years from now, you have tenants moving in and out. I just want it to be clear. But a contractor's yard is kind of like this broad statement that kind of covers a lot. And maybe storage or
That covers all the things
warehousing.
we've talked about.
Say that again?
That covers all the things we've been talking about.
Yeah, and maybe
Okay.
storage and warehousing too might be good to add in there. But
Storage. And we can, on the plumbing underground, we can always run, lines and cap them in the floor in case there's ever gonna be different, more tenants in there, so. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
You want me to revise my wording?
yeah, if you want to start over, yeah.
Okay. I recommend that we grant conditional final approval to the application, subject to the recommended conditions presented in the staff memo dated June 27th, 2025, and with a proposed use as a contractor's yard and storage facility with no more than 4 units. That cover? Yeah.
Second?
All right, motion made by Lynn, seconded by Pete. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, all those abstaining, motion moves 7-0-0. Thank you, gentlemen. I
Thank you
appreciate
Very
it.
much.
Okay. Next on the docket is Vicinity Development LLC, review for acceptance and consideration of a waiver of full site plan review to convert an existing place of assembly into a multifamily residential building with 4 one-bedroom units and associated site improvements. This parcel is located at 5 Depot Street in the R4 Residential by Soils and Aquifer Conservation Districts and Wellhead Protection Area. This is tax map 6E-1, lot 17, case planning board 2025-16, and it has been continued from June 17th meeting. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
If you can introduce yourself and then maybe recap and touch on some things.
For the record, my name is Doug McGuire. I'm with the DeBay Group here representing the owner of the property, Vicinity Development. And as you all likely recall, we met just a couple weeks ago on this application, and we were given some direction from the board, and also we had some staff comments that were looking for some updates on the plan, and we were able to make those adjustments and provide updated plans. So I'll just quickly walk you through what we've added and what we've clarified on the plans. So I would say that it's obviously an expanded and enhanced plan set at this point. We added a few more sheets. And so first sheet we added, in addition to the cover our existing conditions, is sheet 2. We added a site preparation plan, and that was discussed to kind of separate what is getting removed versus what is being proposed so that it's clearer. So the only purpose of this plan is to show the area of concrete that's going to be removed. So the hatched area is existing concrete that is going to be removed along Depot Street to eliminate the pull-in parking spaces along that access. So putting it here allows us to kind of say, hey, it's gone, and then clarify it on the site plan. So here's the site plan. As you can see, that area is gone. You can see that we have the proposed fencing, 3-rail fence that we were proposing along that area. You may also recall that we talked about the DPW asking for us to try to get those parking spaces that are along Pleasant Street a little bit more onto our property as much as possible. So we're showing that extended 5 feet further into our property, so pulling all the backs of those cars 5 feet more in. And we also added concrete wheel stops along each parking space. And we also showed proposed striping, very much in line with what the striping is today, but clarifying that it needs to be restriped and proposed. And you can see that the striping of an 18-foot long space stops just slightly over the property line now. So I think certainly an improvement to the condition, and from what I understand, DPW was satisfied with that adjustment, but I'll let staff speak to that. We also added, per some direction by the board, some additional trees on the site. We're proposing 3 new trees, 2 in the front here. There's an existing large tree in this vicinity, so no need to add anything further over there. It would end up getting shaded out by that existing tree. And we also added an additional tree along the property line of the abutter to the south. So those are all proposed to be red maples. Deciduous tree provides some color and some shade tree type format in that area. We also added a picnic table in the side yard as suggested by, I believe, the chair at the time. And, it was a good suggestion, and we have that shown. Lastly, we clarified, as I said I would do, with a note saying that the porch shall be illuminated with recessed lights within the covered porch ceiling, just to kind of clarify how that lighting is going to be handled. We also put a clarifying note just in our general notes over here that said that they have to be full cutoff lights and not, spotlights or anything like that, just to kind of keep that in mind for the neighbors. Lastly, we added a detail sheet. We tried to kind of incorporate that onto the site plan sheet. Once we started adding more notes and more detail, that wasn't reasonable, so we added a detail sheet. This clarifies the intent of the 3-rail fence, a planting detail for our trees, the wheel stops that we talked about, and the concrete that we're going to be putting in the loam and seed. So that kind of rounds out our plan set. I think it addresses all the items that were brought up by both board members and staff. So I guess with that, I'll turn it back to you, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Doug. Before we continue, Ben, is there anything that community development would like to add to this? Or Casey?
There was a traffic study that came in earlier today that completes one of the things that staff was looking for. And DPW is in fact satisfied with the changes made to the site plan to do with parking.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Board, are there any questions?
I'm still not clear on what gets paved in the new plan. And
All right.
maybe he could clarify that for me.
Doug, do you mind just
No,
giving a
not
little
at
more
all.
clarification?
So
You can see it on this plan.
So what we tried to do is, incorporating that preparation plan, we're showing what's being removed. So this area here, this bold line, is call it the new proposed line of the existing concrete. So no new concrete being added, but that is the limit of what you will be seeing. So what you see on this plan is what's going to be there in the future. On this side, again, all this concrete is existing except for the area that we're cutting out, except for a 5-foot widened section. And you can see right here, we have a gray line. I didn't want to put it too bold so that it would confuse like what the intent of the parking spaces is, but that's the limit of the existing concrete. And you can see that we're expanding that 5 feet. We do call it out as such, contractor shall expand concrete parking area 5 feet as shown. So that is the area. So at the end of the day, if you were to take a Google image of this after it was constructed, this is what it would look like in theory. A widened section of concrete added to the existing concrete area along Pleasant Street, a reduced section of concrete along Depot with the trees and the fencing as proposed. Does that help, Mr. Bisco?
That does help. I just wanted to know where the new, I guess it's asphalt you're putting in now. right?
Concrete. We are gonna match it, just because that's what it is today.
Along Pleasant Street, but then, that's along Pleasant Street. Then the rest of the site, what is the paving there?
So everything on site today is concrete, and I don't know if this would help, if I can go to the existing conditions. So here's the site as it sits today, and you can see we have the concrete hatch of concrete, essentially, along the entire frontage of both,
Right.
of both streets.
I understand.
So what we're doing, in our opinion, a pretty substantial improvement to the existing condition is that we're taking away this hatched area of concrete.
Concrete.
So that hatched area is being cut out and pulled away and replaced with loam and seed. So where we had somebody, which I thought was kind of the biggest safety issue, was you actually had parking at the intersection corner of Depot and Pleasant. So like, we wanted to try to eliminate that. So you can see that in addition to eliminating all the pull-in spaces along Depot, we also cut out, space and a half out of the front of Pleasant so that we only have defined parking spaces on the Pleasant Street side.
Does that work for you with your tenants and so on?
Yeah, it does. As this is your regulations require essentially one space per unit plus one visitor space for a total of 5. We're showing 8. So every unit could have 2 exclusive spaces, or however they decide, they could have 1 exclusive with more visitor spaces. And there still would be the ability, barring snow emergencies or snow, no parking bans, for on-street parking for the occasional visitor as well.
Are you required to have a handicap space?
No, for this amount of units, you're not required to have an ADA accessible unit, and also we will have exclusive spaces for every unit owner, so there would be accommodations for, if someone was handicapped, although I'll say, there's no elevator in the building or anything like that, so it's not exactly ADA friendly. And my understanding of the code, and obviously this would have to go through the building code process and everything as well, but at this unit count, you're not required to have that accessibility. It's when you kind of get into the larger developments where they want to make sure, and also this is a renovation of an existing facility, so.
All right. Are there any other questions?
Okay.
Actually,
Yes, Pete.
I'm looking at the design of the exterior of the building, and I took a ride by on my bike the other day, and I appreciated that the landscape was mowed and everything. Some of the neighbors asked for that. But I also, that's a pretty neighborhood, and there's a lot of history in that neighborhood. So, I see a lot of the neighbors here, and, I kind of want that to fit in, and I hope it looks as good. And I don't know if it requires, something added to it, shutters or something that would keep it to the historical nature. But we have a gentleman here who knows quite about the history of that neighborhood, so maybe he'd have something to say about that. But you see that fitting in and design with the rest of the homes?
Well, I guess what I can say is I also took a trip by myself, just because I wanted to see what the status of the landscaping was. I was also pleased to see that it looks very good out there. And I would add on that note that the owner has contracted with a company, so that's not going to be a one-and-done type of situation. The intention is for that to be well-maintained moving forward through the construction process, as well as, of course, after, when tenants are in. I will say what I noted of the building is it doesn't look 100% great right now. I think the exterior of the building is going to be improved. He's going to update, paint, facade, and improve that. And so I think it'll be a substantial improvement to what's there today. I think he's already done a lot of cleanup on the property, the decrepit shed that had all the old stuff in it, removed that. And so, yes, that is obviously the intent, to improve the building, and that's all part of this.
And there's a lot of folks that take care of their homes, and like I said.
Oh, I agree.
Yep, so I'm sure that they want it to fit in as well, so. Thank you.
No, he doesn't have any intent to do neon pink or anything like that for the colors. It's going to be naturals and in kind.
Thank you, Doug. Are there any other comments, questions? All right, I think at this time, I have to open it to public hearing. So Doug, if you don't mind, is there anybody from the public that would like to speak to this project? Please come up to either microphone. Just make sure the green light is on. State your name.
I'm Elena Sweeney and Alan Raymond of 16 Pleasant. Before I get started, permission to submit an item for Ms. Wolf-Smith with regard to a question of the date of the apron that currently exists at the property that can be put on file.
Is that acceptable? Yes, absolutely.
Benefit.
And thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. I'd like to start by saying that the neighbors of Depot and Pleasant thank Mr. Dustin and Vicinity Development for their interest and commitment to adhering to the original and historic designs of our old Oddfellows building. It has been an icon of Merrimack history since the turn of the century, so we thank you a lot for your efforts at preserving that and not just tearing it down. We also were very relieved last Wednesday morning when Raisin and Landscaping arrived to cut the worrisome, very tall grass and manicure the overgrown weeds that had claimed the rear border fencing. We were elated to learn that our local Raisin was awarded the contract, so again, we appreciate and thank you for that. I have two quick questions and then one longer item for Mr. Dustin. Question one, will there be any Section 8 designation on the 5 Depot Street property? And question two, what is proposed for the very large attic space on the 3rd floor of the property? And then the longer item. With regard to the dashed and dotted triangle piece of property on the southeast corner, which Vicinity refers to as map 6E-A lot 17 that you'll see on the plan. It is that kind of ghost piece that cuts across their eastern side of their property. After much research and in-person FaceTime with Hillsborough County Registry of Deeds and the Town of Merrimack's Tax Assessor's Office, this map and lot designation does not exist anywhere, nor on Lot 17's deed, that being 5 Depot Street. In fact, the Merrimack Assessor's Office has it recorded and taxed to Whalen Homes LLC out of Hooksett, that being 7 Depot Street. So it is actually a portion of map 6E-1 lot 16, Whalen LLC. With that being a fact, this presents an addressable issue for this board regarding the meets and boundaries issues on an already undersized parcel to sustain just the basic 4-unit requirements that the state looks for. I have another item, if I may, submit for your review. That be okay?
Casey, does she need to submit one to you as well?
Just for a
Yeah,
visual.
you can submit them. Are you looking for me to pass these out to the board members? There's only a few copies, but I was just going to put them in the file. Yeah.
Sorry, that's basically for the file,
Okay.
for your info.
Oh, same one? Is it the same item?
No.
Okay.
This is a separate item with regard to what I was hoping you could it would help you visualize what we're saying.
Absolutely. We can share. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So this small parcel in question, if acquired by Vicinity Development from Wayland Homes to add to their parcel, Wayland Homes, who are clearly not using or maintaining that side of their boundary hedges, would allow for 5 Depot to have their own off-street parking lot of 6+ spaces, which would then deem the plan conforming to all the other multifamilies in the said neighborhood. For example, currently 7 and 4 Depot, and soon number 8 Depot. As a side note, I have had spoken to Mr. Whalen at length, and there is a possible amicability for that to happen. Having said that, if the flipping of the land use design of the green space and parking was to occur, it would alleviate the groundwater runoff issues with the current drains in place on the street, on Pleasant Street, and would help with the DPW's concerns. The snow removal issues of placement of it would disappear. The traffic flow safety of egress and ingress concerns would also be alleviated. Sanitation and waste removal access would be freed up. Emergency services access as well would be possible. The main utility pole presence, which doesn't get a lot of attention here and hasn't at the past meetings either, that particular pole sits in the center, well, not in the center, but among their proposed parking plan. Let's see, sorry. It would also clear up the meets and bounds issues for the town of Merrimack, enlarging the parcel square footage availability, which would soften some of those expansive requirements that we're having to look at and possibly waive. In flipping the land use design with the green space on Pleasant Street, along some of Depot Street, would increase all of our home values and give 5 Depot an immeasurable curb appeal and value. Then, to quote Mr. Dustin's attorney, and I can't pronounce her name correctly, so I don't want to butcher it, it would be the proverbial perfect fit that she spoke of in the variance meeting that we all attended. In closing, the neighbors in Depot Pleasant would like to thank this board for hearing and considering our concerns pertaining to our beloved historic district neighborhood. We hope that Mr. Dustin might consider that flipping of the plan, and that would be giving it a green space look from both sides of the street access. And lastly, we old folks here are still praying for a very much needed and affordable neighborhood senior housing option for our next step, but no pressure though. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to the project? Yes, please. Step up to the microphone, let us know who you are, and tell us what you think.
My name is Jerry Ann Ryder. I live on 19 Pleasant Street. There's a deed recorded in January of 2025 on a 3-cornered parcel of land, a transfer between the Grand Lodge to Vicinity Development. And my question is, and I sent an email earlier today, is that 3-cornered, that triangle lot there?
I don't believe so. No, I don't believe it is. we'll,
That three-cornered lot belongs to Wayland, and the deed you're talking about does not talk about Wayland at all.
Okay, could you tell me what this is then? What vicinity purchased for consideration paid? It purchased in January of 2025, a three-cornered lot.
I don't know.
I do not know. Is
I think that's something
we
that
get
the
from
applicant should clear up.
Yeah, well, we'll let the applicant
Okay,
answer that.
thank you.
He has the answer. Thank you very much. Thank you, Casey. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Good evening, sir.
Good evening. My name is Chuck Mower. I live at 4 Depot Street. I'm the vice president of the Historical Society, whose present facilities are very near to this proposal. I am also the official town historian. I have lived at 4 Depot Street beginning in 1948. My world is a lot different from most people's, having lived in one spot for a considerable period of time. We move around a lot today. Buildings are shuffled around today. Projects are flipped and sold and flipped and abandoned and reconstructed and re-permitted and so forth. We live in a very accelerated society. That is not true of my neighborhood. And I think that the neighborhood representative spoke quite well to how we feel about our neighborhood. People that we've known and been friendly with for a long time, people that we perhaps don't know so well, but have lived so nicely in our neighborhood for so long. We find them to be contributing members of the bucolic peace and serenity that we enjoy in the little village of Reed's Ferry. I realize this sounds odd in the scheme of things, particularly a town like Merrimack, but it is nevertheless true. We take great pride in trying to accomplish improvements to our village, improvements to our homes, to increase the value of the effort that we have put into living there and caring about it all these many years. That's not often articulated before public bodies like this. Everything is usually cut and dry, engineered, and generally represented by Philadelphia lawyers that you know are just putting their kids through college and have little to do or care with the people that are affected by change. Yes, change happens all the time. It's oddly the only constant we have. And yet, we like our neighborhood. The applicant has certainly indicated that they would like to respect the neighborhood in taking advantage of this project that they think will bring them a return on their investment. We'd like to hope that it makes their lives more than just a return on their investment, that they might actually meet nice people where they are working and building, and that a sense of community would extend from the minds and the operations of a dozen people that live
in the vicinity. This is real. It's real to us. And so often we have seen community justice not often taken into consideration in this accelerated legal adjudication of things. Again, the applicant has stated that he'd like to be a good citizen, that he'd like to be a good neighbor. It extends beyond adding a picnic bench. It extends beyond planting a few trees and so forth. All of that is very nice. But it does extend beyond that. It extends to the point where we anticipate the applicant will take every effort to create something that we all enjoy, that makes our neighborhood better, not just somebody's pocketbook. There's no reason why this can't happen. They've promised to keep it architecturally intact. A few detailed modifications would indeed return it to its former glory of 1900, when community built that to gather and celebrate community, the International Order of the Odd Fellows. Fraternities these days are not what they once were, but our neighborhood is. And if the applicant wants to be accepted in our neighborhood and enjoy our support, all he has to do is what he has already indicated that he would like to do. And I know how difficult it is when anything is passed by a zoning board or a planning board to legislate acceptance of that kind of responsibility and accountability. Things always look good on paper, they get passed. Next thing you know, you drive down Route 3, there's tall grass, there's boulders, there's sand lots, there's this, that, and the other thing. When our best intentions at the planning level is to make sure that the applicants do, in fact, add to our community according to the agreements that they enter into. That's all our little neighborhood is asking for, that you respect that we are somewhat different from the rest of the community, and we like it that way.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Please step up to the microphone.
No, I'm not a surveyor. My name's Tim Ryder. I'm at 19. I live like right next to them. And I know like at the last board meeting, that triangle, there were a lot of questions about that. And just paraphrasing, the answers were like, well, let's just forget about that. That's like in limbo and whatever. We can't do anything there. So the board had a concern. There's some that are not here tonight, but they had concerns on that property there that if they in fact own that whole square area, there'd be plenty of room to park. You could make the front street on Pleasant look good, the front of the building, but it was sort of passed off like, let's just forget about that. We don't know anything about it. My wife did do some research, and there is a deed with this person's name on it in January. And I respect that you don't have an answer to that, but I think that plays a huge factor, okay? If they in fact do own that parcel there, then putting parking there would be the best way to get it off of Pleasant. And the reason why I say that is because it's going to cost more money to put parking there where they can just, put 7 spots on Pleasant. I'll just say one quick thing here. I think it goes back to zoning, because if you need a 25-pound bag and you're trying to put 50 pounds into it, something's being compromised, okay? And if they needed, say, 5 acres and they only had 4.5, they let that go. But what was required, they need like this much space, and they only have this much. So what is being compromised? You could see children walking up Pleasant Street all day long, little kids on their bicycles, families walking their pets up the street. It's a quiet street. Where they're parking on Pleasant, even though they bumped it up like they're saying 5 feet, okay, you see these, are they limiting, like if you rent, it's got to be a compact vehicle. You can't have like an F-150 that's like, 30 feet long. And I see it every day. If you've got 7, 8 vehicles parked on Pleasant, okay, and they're backing out, okay, and so, people fly up that street. I got a guy up the street with a Corvette. He flies down that street twice a day, 50 miles an hour, to get to his driveway back and forth. You have an empty spot, and you've got this huge SUV, and you've got a couple of children playing with balls and whatever. The ball goes out into the street. You've literally have, let's not take a ruler out, but you've got maybe this much space, okay, for that car before some kid comes running around the corner, and he's in the street at that point, okay? And that's where I say this is like a safety concern. This isn't like a code requirement on how many wattage of lights. They say they're having lighting. I still don't see it. I've seen people put floodlights up, and then you're fighting it after. What I'm trying to do is like put the fires out before they begin, that we're all on the same page. There's no mention on these site plans at all. Everything's going to remain the same. But then, we're going to paint. We're going to take the wood that's falling apart off. There's no mention of any of that on a site plan. I'm in the business. I look at site plans all day long. These site plans couldn't be any more vague. We would just say rejected and, resubmit. And getting back to the safety factor, though, that is a huge concern right there. I can see, and I hate to say it, but I see an accident in the making right there, because there's just not enough room to be, just like when you're at Home Depot or you're in Shaw's and you're backing out of your parking spot, you might get hit, but the cars that's coming up this way, they're going, 3 or 4 miles an hour. They may beep at you or give you a gesture or whatever. But I mean, that's just a disaster in the makings right there. And getting back to this, it's not my forte, but I know there were board members that questioned that lot. We have a deed here that their name is on, okay? Maybe it isn't that partial there. But if it is their partial, and they do own that, I think the board should reconsider before stamping these plans and, signing off on it, because the reason why not to do it there, because it will cost too much. Rather than the safety or the beauty of the neighborhood, it would look nice to have Pleasant Street with some grass there, and on the Depot Street with some grass. It would make that old building look beautiful. But I think this is the least expensive way out. And this is a little thing I'll throw into it, the 3 trees. Like if you look at the one there, the bottom one on the left, they have a 4-foot wide walkway going to their garbage cans. So from the edge of that walkway to my fence, you literally have 6 feet, okay? And right now I have a lilac tree there. I know this is little, but I just want to point things out. Whoever designed this here, we don't need a tree there. that tree's gonna grow right into their 4-foot, those trees that they have, I looked at the site plans, they grow to 20 feet wide. It's not the type of tree to put there. They may be fine out by the street there, but not within 6 feet. What we need is a tree to the right of that, because that tree is more to the left side of the corner of the building, and where the windows are that are looking right down at my wife and I in our house, there's nothing there. So I would recommend, looking at the plan, the best place for tree number 3, the bottom left, would be to the right, 20 feet or so, to kind of buffer those windows, because the lilac tree right now, it's pretty big. And I don't think we need another tree right there, but my biggest concern is the children, people walking their dogs. It's a quiet neighborhood, and people trying to back out of there. I go back to zoning, okay? They never really should have approved to allow that much space, okay, knowing the risks that could take place there. And my biggest other concern is we need answers. I know, like you had mentioned, and I respect all that, I don't have an answer to that, but I think the board really needs to find out, do they in fact own that whole parcel there? And thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else? All right, with that, I will close the public hearing. Doug, would you like to touch on any of your comments?
Sure, yeah, happy to clarify some items. So I'll start first of all with this triangles piece. So if I wasn't clear before in my first presentation, I apologize, but I'm going to try to be more clear this time. So this isn't an unknown area or an unknown lot, and it doesn't have a separate lot designation. One of the abutters noted that it says map 6E-A lot 17. That's a typo, and I apologize for that. I didn't even notice it. But what we were going for here is it was 6E-1 lot 17, meaning our lot. It was an area that was being used by that lot. And so this was never on a plot plan as a lot. It's not a triangle shape that has any meets and bounds to it or anything like that. So for clarification, we are 100% confident that this is the shape of our lot. That's what our lot square footages are based off of, everything. So the only thing that we were doing by showing this is that at the time, which has kind of been now remedied, there was an existing shed that was being utilized by the church. And so we were trying to acknowledge that although it's not our land, we do have a shed that is being used by that current property. That's where, again, this wouldn't be an issue for this board. It could be a civil matter that the current owner could petition to the abutter to say, hey, we've used this, we've maintained it, can, we buy it from you or whatever, but it would have to be handled in a format that was typical with these type of items. It's less of a concern now because the shed is removed. So we have no issue, if it's the pleasure of the board, just to eliminate. I liked staff's comment last time about, hey, what do we think about this 20 years from now when we look at a plan? Mm-hmm. I'm happy to take that dotted line area off because we really only put it there because of the shed. And, when you have a shed or a piece of a structure that's being used by another property, you either have to legally get rid of it or acknowledge that there's an issue or that it's there. Now that that's not part of it, I don't think we have to do anything about that. So I'm happy to eliminate that dotted line. Our survey is as shown. Our deed matches that shape as shown. With the abutters deed, it matches the shape without the triangle. The piece that, I guess there was like a discussion of a triangle piece of land that was in the registry of deeds. That is not this triangle. The story behind that, and I wasn't 100% aware of this myself. The owner updated me while I was listening to the abutters. There was a separate chunk of land that was claimed by the Oddfellows, not the church. And so when the church was selling the land to them, there was a title issue. And so their attorneys talked about that. The Oddfellows agreed to deed for free that piece because it was really just kind of a misunderstanding. It was a title issue, and that's why that went through. So it was a piece of land within this current configuration. Nothing to do with this over here. It was actually like right here, and for whatever reason, it didn't get conveyed along with the rest. The intent was that it was to be conveyed along with the rest to the church. So when his company, title-wise, looked that up, they were like, we need to clear this up. And they voluntarily did it without any legal court issues or anything like that. They just deeded it over. So it was clarified, and that's why it's not shown on our plan, because that was all done prior to us even surveying the property. So when we surveyed the property, that sliver had already been voluntarily consolidated with the lot. It is all one parcel legally per that deed, actually, and that's the situation with that. So, so I guess to clarify or to summarize, the triangle is not a triangle. It's just an area that we were acknowledging based on the hedging and the fact of the existing shed was an area that was being used by the previous property. I've talked with the owner. He's not even contesting that area. He can have a conversation separately with that abutter if he so chooses, but it's not something that he was contesting. And I also want to clarify too that even if that triangle were a part of that, there would be a little bit more to it than just putting the parking on that other side, because you'd have a full 24-foot wide travel lane in addition to the parking spaces. So you got a lot of pavement there that would likely need some encroachment relief from the abutter. So, if it were part of this, I guess it could be more of a conversation. The fact that we don't even own that triangle, and that's an understood situation as part of this, it really doesn't lend itself as an option in this case. And I think we also have to look at that we're evaluating this site with how it is today. Remember, this was an existing function hall facility that had 18 plus parking spaces wrapped around the front of it, and we took that and are making the enhancements that we're making. So, I can appreciate the ideas from the abutter, but it's not something that we're able to do. We don't own the land, and even if we did, I think that there would be some uphill battle associated with that. With regards to the historic character, we're all in agreement on that, and the owner has reiterated to me that he's not taking the covered porch off or anything like that. He's not trying to demo or raise any portion of the building. He is going to put a new roof on, new windows, and paint it in a complementary color of white or neutral light color. That's the intent. So if you want me to throw that on the record so that that's there, I'm happy to extend that out there, because that is absolutely his intention. And obviously, if there were drastic changes to the building that needed to be made or had to be made, then we could have to come back and discuss those items with you. But we are comfortable enhancing this and improving the property. I think the improvements that we're doing to the property with the existing parking and the improvements that we're doing to the building is going to be a great update to this property. And I think it's been a testament that even the abutters who were concerned about this property have admitted that essentially everything that he said he's doing, he's working to do, getting that done, and he intends to continue to do that. With that one tree that the other abutter brought up, happy to slide that down. And I think that makes sense. I understand what he's saying in the context of what he's saying. I know exactly where those existing windows are, and we can plop them pretty much right in front of that. And it would be about 20 feet down, give or take, but we'll get that aligned just right. His lilac tree that's on his property can stay where it is, and we'll make that adjustment to that tree. I think we were talking about that location at the previous meeting, and that's why we chose to put it there, but hearing the context from the neighbor, that makes more sense to slide that over. So, you know, I hope that addresses some of the concerns that were raised by the abutters. Certainly, I didn't want to make a misrepresentation that there's an issue with the boundary, because there just isn't. So, and as I said, I can eliminate that dotted line just to avoid future confusion now that the shed has been removed.
Thank you, Doug. Two other things, if you want to touch on them, were the attic use and Section 8.
Thank you. Absolutely not intending to do any type of specialty workforce housing or Section 8 housing. These are going to be market rate units, and so that's, I guess that settles that piece. And the attic, there's no proposed use anticipated for the attic, so it's not going to be you know, living space or intended to be. I mean, I do have the floor plans with me if there's any board member that's interested in seeing that. I didn't really know if that was falling into the purview of this board, but if there's specific questions, I can show you kind of the intention of how the interior is laying out. So I do have that.
My last question for you, Doug, was the lighting, the exterior lighting. Would you be willing to just fix it at a certain number? I'm concerned for the residents and just nighttime disturbance.
Yeah, well, we felt that it would be adequate because it has that beautiful wraparound that when it's updated, I think will look spectacular. And he is going to update the floorboards on that so that it's nice and new. Putting the lights in the soffit, you're really going to get they're inherently zero, light pollution from the 90. They are fully downlit. I don't know, I think I'd like to fall into more like residential code as to far as how to light that area, but I can tell you that it's just going to be enough to make the entire wraparound porch shed some light, and that light, because of the downward lighting layout, will hit the steps both in the front and the side and provide just enough lighting. There's no intention of floodlights or any other type of lighting as part of that. But I did, as I mentioned, I think in my presentation, we did add a note to.
I saw your note about the porch lighting.
Well, not only that one, but we just added, I think, a generic note as well, saying building lighting shall be dark sky compliant. So that way, if somebody if he sells the property and somebody else sticks a big floodlight out there, that's not in compliance with the site plan as approved.
Excellent, thank you. Are there any questions? Pete?
And first of all, I appreciate your respecting the request of Mr. Rydery and Mrs. Rydery to move that tree. That makes a lot of sense.
Sure, absolutely.
I guess, where's my notes here? Mr. Mower made a great point about the grounds and that, we have one owner now, but 5 years from now, do we have a different owner, and does he want to maintain those same standards? And I guess my question to the board is, we've required trees, there's a fencing, these are all required to be maintained, right? If a tree dies, it has to be replaced. If the fence starts falling apart, it becomes dilapidated, it has to be fixed and repaired. And this board is pretty stringent on that, because and it's important in a neighborhood such as this. So those would be my concerns. I guess, are there going to be set covenants for the residents regarding noise, how many cars, and so forth?
All the residents will have to sign lease agreements, and it's the owners obviously looking to have good tenants, good neighbors. People that are causing problems are a problem for the owner. So the lease agreements that will be signed will touch on all those items, as typical rental agreements will.
So, and am I clear on, these folks have asked about putting a parking lot to the rear and eliminating the parking spaces on the streets. And am I clear that your client is not inclined to do that because this triangular space is sort of limbo?
Nope. I don't want to claim, I don't want to use the word limbo, just because it's not in limbo. It's very clear that the owner of this lot, which is 6E-116 Wayland Homes, owns that. It's in his deed. It's, he pays taxes on the square footage associated with that, so he owns it. The issue and the reason why we called it out was because of the shed. So now that the shed's gone, it really is not an issue. It's not a limbo piece. It's just owned by that abutter. And so we don't have any physical ability to make a parking lot over there based on the limits of the property.
All right, thank you.
Karen, did you have something? No. Any other questions? Do I reopen the public hearing?
Yes, yes, the public hearing, yes.
Reopen it?
Yes, open the public hearing.
All right, okay. I will reopen the public hearing. I've already had one.
I apologize.
Yeah.
That's my mistake.
I rescind that.
Not the public hearing. Now
That's okay.
we need to vote on the waiver of full site plan review.
Excellent. All right, so, Board, what we have in front of us is waiver of full site plan review, and based on that, it needs to either be unnecessary hardship or this carries out the spirit and intent of the regulations. What is the will of the board?
Excuse me, I'll make a motion.
That's all right.
To find that with the granted waiver of full site plan review and proposed conditions of approval, the application meets all applicable regulatory requirements necessary, and further to grant conditional final approval to the application, subject to the recommended conditions of approval presented in the staff memo dated June 27, 2025.
So that is actually the conditional approval. So we're looking for a motion for accepting the waiver of full site plan review.
Just half of it.
It's on the second page of our memo. That was something that maybe the board should have done at the last hearing, but for whatever reason, that wasn't actually
Okay,
done.
sorry about
Yep.
that.
That's all right. That's
Trying to get
okay.
ahead of the process here. Okay, so make a motion that any additional waiver requests deemed necessary to be provided in writing?
Karen, you're looking to either make a motion to accept a waiver of full site plan review based on either hardship or spirit of an intent of the regulation. Is that right? It's not very clear.
Okay, make a motion to grant
Waiver.
a waiver of full site
Site plan.
approval. Is that good enough?
Yeah, so essentially, this waiver allows the applicant to basically operate under like a minor site plan, so that we're not applying all of our site plan regulations to this application. So this is just formalizing that the board is okay with this approach, that we can waive the full site plan review process.
Do you need a spirit or a hardship?
Yeah, typically, because it is a waiver
Karen,
request.
you would need to decide if you are making that motion based on hardship or that it is following the spirit and intent of the regulations.
Okay, related to, I guess, carry out the spirit and intent of the regulations.
All right.
Is that good?
There is a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Motion made by Karen, seconded by Lynn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those abstaining? Pete, was he an aye or opposed? All right, that is a 7-0-0. Now, the second part is granting conditional final approval. What is the will of the board?
Okay,
Oh,
I make a motion.
Karen,
Oh,
may I pause you for just a
okay,
moment?
sure.
Please.
Regarding
Thank you.
final approval, I guess, is there any requirement to see that these things regarding the trees, the fence, the concrete removal, those are getting done prior to the final review or final approval?
Request that?
Those can be conditions of the approval. As part of the conditional approval, you can request those be addressed.
Thank you, Amanda.
Yeah, I guess I'd kind of like to, just see that all that gets done, because we have concerned citizens here, and I'd like to include that into the motion, if we could.
Okay. Can you, Pete, just, if you don't mind, just be a little bit more specific on the items you would like to see? We had a number of things, a colorway, a tree, a dotted line on the site plan.
I guess all
of the above?
those discussed items above.
All right, Karen, so, would you still like to make the motion? Or do you want
How
to give it to
about Peter?
Pete?
I knew you were going to do this to me, and
So you have a tree that needs to be moved?
yeah, the tree
Yep.
removed.
So you'll monitor the tree,
Yep.
the colorway, and dotted line on the site plan.
Okay, so I guess, should I follow the suggested staff motion?
Yes.
Yes, and then add in
Add
more
that, okay.
pieces inside.
I make a motion to find that the granted waiver of full site plan review and proposed conditions of approval and application meets all applicable regulatory requirements necessary and further to grant conditional final approval to the application, subject to the recommended conditions, as well as the added conditions of the outdoor lighting, planting of trees and moving of that one tree on the south side of the building, as well as the concrete adjustment in the parking, maintenance of the exterior of the building, and the construction of the picket fence.
What is the
presented-
condition with
sorry?
the lighting? What
What?
specifically, what is your condition with the outdoor lighting? What
Yeah, the-
what are you looking for?
Yeah. No floodlights.
They already have the dark sky on their plan.
Yeah.
So they've already covered that.
Okay,
Yes.
beautiful.
And just to be clear, anything that's on the plan right now, it will be legally binding once this is finally approved. So
Okay,
so anything
it'll
that
be
is
legally
shown.
binding.
Yeah, so anything that is shown on the plan is what they need to
Okay,
place.
that
So
was
if
my
it's
only
showing the
concern.
fence, they have to show, they have to
my
actually
only
put the
concern.
fence there.
Doug, would you like to remove the dotted line?
I would, yeah, I think for clarification. Yeah.
I think for 20 years from now, that's not
Oh,
a
yeah.
bad idea.
What did you say, Hakeem?
The dotted line that they
Oh,
had
the
dotted
proactively added
It's
for the
gonna be
shed,
removed.
I think it's probably best to remove it, just so that
Yes.
later
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
somebody's looking at it. Pete, you might want to rephrase that.
Rephrase that, okay. Just go with the suggested motion then, since that's already included? Okay. All right. I make a motion to find that with the granted waiver of full site plan review and proposed conditions of approval, the application meets all applicable regulatory requirements necessary and further to grant conditional final approval to the application, subject to the recommended conditions of approval presented in the staff memo dated June 27, 2025, as well as brought up here at this meeting.
Is that fair? Excellent. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those abstaining? That is seven. Oh, there was no second. I apologize. Who seconded?
I did.
Lynn did.
Wait.
Lynn seconded
Sorry.
earlier.
Oh, I apologize.
No, you're fine. It was a little convoluted. Should I retake the vote, Casey? No. All right, it is 7-0-0. The motion passes.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. All right, where's my... Bear with me a second. Done. I'm skipping. All right. Next item is Integra Biosciences Corporation applicant owner conceptual discussion regarding a proposal to construct a medical device manufacturing facility. The parcel is located at Daniel Webster Highway and Mast Road in the I-1 Industrial and Aquifer Conservation Districts, Tax Map 2D, Lot 22, Case Planning Board 2025-8. Good evening, gentlemen. Please introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your project.
You bet. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Disco. My name is Jim Petropoulos. I'm a professional engineer at Hayner Swanson Inc., doing business at 3 Congress Street in Nashua, New Hampshire. And this evening I'm here representing Integra Biosciences Corporation. With me is Matt Ladd. Matt's company is Sakana Associates. He is a construction management professional, and he serves as the owner's rep for Integra Biosciences. And Mr. Chairman, as you just read into the record, we're really here to introduce a new project to the planning board under conceptual discussion. It's a fairly large project with some moving parts to it, so we thought it would be a good idea to come before you and talk about it. How do I open this, Casey? Just clicking on it's not working.
Trace?
Go over. Then move your mouse a little up. Double click that section. Oh, wow. Or hit the enter button.
The expert's coming.
Here she comes.
You know. I know I'd screw it. I told you last week I was going to screw it up. Thanks.
This is an acrobat file, right?
I think so, yeah.
Bingo. Bingo.
I'm
Okay.
actually gonna close this for you, just so you know.
We're in action.
Can I open this? Oh, okay. Fantastic. So what I'm going to try to do this evening is just give you a brief overview of the project, and then Matt and I will do our best to answer questions that you may have. Before I present some of the details of the site plan, I just want to talk a little bit about Integra Biosciences. It's a company that was formed in 2008. They manufacture a wide array of medical devices used in labs all over the world, mostly liquid handling equipment. The company was on the forefront of the front lines in the fight versus COVID-19. They have 2 facilities in Hudson, New Hampshire, along with a warehouse space they lease here in Merrimack, New Hampshire. These 3 facilities make up their North American headquarters. They also have offices in Switzerland and in Ireland. The company is growing at an exceptional rate, and the need for their products is boundless. What is the reason for the project? Simply stated, to get 3 facilities in 3 different locations under one roof. Why this site here in Merrimack? A number of key factors went into selecting this property. First of all, it was zoned properly. It's in the I-1 industrial zone. Second of all, it had the proper lot size for facilities such as this. Employee retention. Integra Bioscience wants to stay in New Hampshire. Okay. Ideally, they want to be within a 10-mile radius of their current facilities in Hudson and in Merrimack. The desired rail spur, you're going to see on the plan this evening, a rail spur off the CSX line. And that's for delivery of resin products in bulk that are used in the manufacturing process. And then lastly, to the height of the building, they're a European-owned company, and the Euros have a way about their buildings where they like to condense things and move up and keep footprints as small as possible. You'll see that on the site plan. And so their warehouse wants to be a little taller than some communities allow. And the way we are working with the topography of this site, we end up with 4 stories. And again, we want to be compliant with zoning. And as you know, Merrimack has a very generous height limitation here in town. So when you pair all these factors together, there aren't that many sites available. And that's the reason they purchased this site in 2024. What you're seeing on your screen is an aerial. It's located at the corner of Mass Road and Daniel Webster Highway. The current tax maps, if you were to look it up, there's 3 lots of record, 2 small residential homes on Daniel Webster Highway, and then a larger tract in the back that's currently used as a contractor's yard. When combined, this property totals 30 acres in size. Who are the abutters to this property? Well, to the east, we've got the railroad tracks and the treatment plant, the town's treatment plant, just on the other side of the railroad tracks. To the south, I'll always call it the Natural Corp site, but the commercial properties to the south, Daniel Webster Highway to the west, and then a portion of undeveloped land that the town owns across Mass Road, as well as Crow's Nest Drive and a recently under construction building located along Crow's Nest. And I think everybody is familiar with this part of Merrimack, knows that it's generally made up of a mix of commercial and industrial properties. Our company surveyed the property in 2024. And the topography of the site is rather unique. It's very flat up along Daniel Webster Highway, but then there's a pretty good drop right here, right along this edge, into a flattish land that, if we go back to the arrow, you can see being used as part of the contractor's yard. And then it's fairly flat along the railroad tracks. Wetlands have been mapped in accordance with jurisdictional regulations by Gove Environmental Services. We have a large red maple swamp located really right here in the center of the site. And then also in the northeast corner, we have a wetland that takes on water really from the culverts under Mass Road. And despite some beaver activity, eventually forms into a stream that flows in a southeasterly direction, goes through a culvert into the Merrimack River. What is being proposed is a manufacturing facility that, when fully built, will total 420,000 square feet upon this site. The main body of the building includes 2 levels of manufacturing space, 2 levels of office space, and then the warehouse, which is about 150,000 square feet, located behind. The building also includes a 5-story integrated structured parking garage that can accommodate about 340 parking spaces. So you're probably looking at this plan saying, where's all the parking? Well, as I mentioned, in Euro fashion, they like their structured parking garages. And in doing so, it really eliminates the large, expansive need for paved parking surfaces. Initial estimates for employees are 225. Full build out, when this is completely done, about 400 employees could be occupied here in this facility. And Integra operates 3 shifts 24/7. So a couple elements of the site plan. We know Daniel Webster Highway is DOT controlled. Our goal is to gain access off of Mass Road. Let me see if I can blow this up a little bit. You might be able to minimize that. Okay. And there's that access drive to a very small parking lot here for visitors and FedEx type drop-offs. Also the access into the upper levels of the integrated parking garage. There's a second access off of Mass Road here that not only serves the lower portion of the integrated parking garage, but also really serves for the loading. You'll hear in a few minutes about loading and truck trips. Integra is not a heavy truck user. We're also proposing a life safety access around the building to make sure life safety vehicles can get around the facility. That will be gated up at Daniel Webster Highway. I mentioned in my opening remarks about a rail spur. Trains traveling north could then back into and deliver some of the resins that are used in the manufacturing process. We've got a bank of silos right here that will accept the pelletized resins, and then they get vacuumed into the facility and used in the manufacturing process. The utilities needed to service a development like this are pretty much in Daniel Webster Highway: water, sewer, telecommunications, power, and gas. A couple other site plan elements that we as a site engineer would look at. Of course, stormwater is always an element here. We're looking to capture stormwater with curbing and catch basins. Of course, we've got a larger roof area to contend with as well. We're going to have some innovative bioretention areas in several locations of the site, but the bigger practice is located behind the building, a stormwater pond before discharge into the stream. We do have a wetland impact, and it's a sizable wetland impact, Mr. Chairman. The project, as I mentioned, the Red Maple Swamp located in the center, will be impacted by this development. One of the first things we did when Integra considered this site, we went up and met with New Hampshire DES officials in a preliminary manner and informed them of all the factors of why we needed to develop within the current facility's radius of 10 miles and landed on this site. And so there will be DES permitting for wetlands and, of course, stormwater as well. As currently contemplated, we're 2.4 acres of wetland fill. We have begun the process with the Conservation Commission. We met with them in person here about a month ago. We've also walked the site with them as well. I want to talk a little bit about open space. And while the industrial zone doesn't really have criteria here in Merrimack for open space, it's worth noting that over 70% of the site will remain open, and of that, also 33% of the total area will remain in its natural state. We're really preserving this large chunk here along Mass Road, this large chunk, and then all the lands associated and around the stream. Traffic study has begun. DOT, as you know, it controls DW. Our traffic consultant has had a scoping meeting with DOT. So we're studying the intersections that they asked us to look at. Don't have any numbers to present this evening, but we certainly look forward to providing you much greater detail on parking as this project moves forward. Architecture, very early stages of architecture. I did bring just a couple perspectives here. You can see the warehouse in the back. This is if we were in a balloon above Daniel Webster Highway looking down. You can see the warehouse space. It's the hope to have that space, that large roof, be solar paneled up on top. This element here is the structured parking garage, 5 levels, primarily going down as we're making grade through the site. We have manufacturing and offices in this location here. This is a different view looking from the south. You can see those office areas, and we hope to use the roof of the manufacturing for some gathering spaces in those areas. Fully sprinklered building. Exterior materials will be a combination of concrete, metal panels, and fixed glass. And these are a couple just graphics. Again, we're not close. We're not close on the architecture yet, but we plan on presenting a building that is when we're back before you. So I just want to wrap up saying that, as I said at the onset, this is a large project. It's large in land area. It's a big building. It's got some site challenges. We think we're up for it. Our formal application will include a plan of land, subdivision plan. We have our site plan set. There'll be landscape plans, lighting plans, architectural elevations, a traffic study, stormwater study, and any waivers that we'll need will accompany our particular application. And of course, our various DES permits as well. So, as always, we pledge to work cooperatively with staff and with the town boards throughout the process. And so with that, be happy to answer questions. Matt and I will do our best to answer questions.
Thank you very much.
Jim, you mentioned 2 residential houses on the property. What are you planning on doing with those?
Yeah, they were part of the purchase, and they're located right in here,
Yeah.
and they just don't work for us. So they're very small, modest houses, and so they will be demoed as part of it. One will be used for our construction trailer during construction, because it's perfect. But after that, it'll be taken away. And the curb cuts along DW Highway will be taken away as well. So from a traffic management standpoint, we did not request a new penetration off of Daniel Webster Highway. I will tell you, this intersection is being looked at for queuing lengths as well as possible signalization. And we know DW Highway is perfectly wide. There are 2 barrels north, 2 barrels south, already the center turn lane sidewalk. So if that improvement is needed and warranted for a signal, a lot of good stuff is there already.
Okay. Pete?
Thanks for this presentation. It's nice to see manufacturing coming to town. Just curious as to emissions from the plant. Are there any emissions? I'm not sure.
None. None.
None? Okay.
Yeah.
What's his emission?
Emissions.
Oh, emissions, okay.
And what did he say? What did you say?
I said none.
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 Oh, none. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a clean, it's basically they're making pipettes.
Making what?
In
Pipettes.
Pipettes, plastic pipettes for,
Oh.
say, doing viral studies.
Yeah.
And
Another way I say it, Nelson, is an eyedropper.
Right.
Yeah.
The little piece, but not the squeezy piece.
Yeah.
well, and then they have.
And then they
yeah.
make them in a row, they make them 10 in a row, and you see
Right.
commercials on TV where labs are using these all over the world.
Yeah.
So they make the pipettes in the heavy manufacturing on the first floor. On the second floor will be light manufacturing, where they're putting together these hand equipment, liquid measuring. So you could do, say, virus studies with 50 pipettes at one time to increase the efficiency. And they're part of Operation Warp Speed during COVID. They were critical in helping UNH stay open. You know, the rail spur is very important because we feel that there will be more and more pandemics as time goes on. One thing to note, where the where the houses are currently, they are rather run down, but we would probably just try to renovate one just for you know, the architectural and construction teams. Then it'll be taken down. That is going to be made into a field, like a natural field. So if you're going by the facility, you're really going to be able to see maybe light manufacturing and then the glass office spaces. And then we have these bridges going in between the, yes.
They look nice.
And they are all pointed open to the south. We have not done an azimuth study yet. So there are several considerations to that. We may have to change some of the materials and the profile because there's almost too much glass. So that we have to do, when we do the azimuth study, it's the winter, summer, and we're gonna look at some light shading and stuff, so. But the gist is there. You know, we really want it to be open, welcoming, kind of a high tech, yeah. And, you know, one thing with the parking structure, which will cost quite a bit of money, you know, 16 million. They wanted to put their best foot forward, and by what we say, and we are looking at LEED and well leadership, energy, environmental design, consolidation, development. And that's why we're doing it on such a small footprint. And to the parking garage, most of that will be really buried into the hill. So 3 out of the 5 floors. The 4th floor will be almost at grade level at Daniel Webster, and then you might have one above. So we're really wanting to preserve, the look of more, even better along Daniel Webster.
Now, do you see the intersection at Mass Road and Route 3? It looks like in your diagram you showed us earlier, you would cut in some turn lanes, both north and south. I know that intersection very well. That's a very busy area. There's been a number of accidents, even with just Henry Clay Drive there. Do you envision DOT wanting lights there or something?
Yeah, it's part of the study. As you probably know, when you evaluate the need for a traffic signal, there's a certain number of, they're called warrants, certain number of criteria, some thresholds that need to be met. And if they're met, then a signal is warranted. It can be as equally dangerous to put a signal where one is not warranted. I don't see that as being the case, because, if we have anywhere from 200, if we have first shift leaving and getting onto Mass Road and wanting to go south, that's a tough move. So don't tell Matt this, but I'm kind of hoping that we end up with a signal there.
Thank you.
Nelson, I know Nelson had something he wanted.
Well, I was going along the same lines that Peter was with regard to my concern for the kinds of chemicals or emissions, air emissions and so on that might be associated with this manufacturing. It sounds like you're pretty clean, but...
Very clean.
Yeah.
And it's all done in clean rooms,
Yeah.
all of the work.
Okay.
So in heavy, I know I say heavy manufacturing, but you're talking about a class 10,000 ISO 7 clean room. So consider that a class 100,000 is an operating room for surgery. We're 10 times cleaner than that,
Yeah.
just for heavy manufacturing. So we have no emissions and no effluent from byproduct.
None into the atmosphere.
Exactly zero.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and we're looking at, again, you saw the solar panels on the roof.
Yes.
We're also potentially looking at, it depends. They gave us, working in somewhat of a budget, so it's not like I have an open checkbook. But we are looking at reusing rainwater for the toilets and urinals. And irrigation, but we are limiting the amount of irrigation because we're limiting the amount of grass, because again, that's not environmental. And I think that if we talked about doing some wildflowers in the front along with the glass, offices, we just want it to be very, very simple. Very simple design, easy on the eyes, so it doesn't look like this monstrosity, which is why we really had to place it down below on the lower level.
Excellent. Karen?
I was just wondering if in the manufacture of the pipettes, do you use water?
It's they use chilled water.
Okay. But no, like you said, no pollutants
There's no
into the
industrial
water?
discharge, no.
No.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nelson.
Yeah, I had one more thing. It had to do with, you said earlier that you already had 2 facilities in Hudson, and you were going to, I didn't understand if you were going to move everything into Merrimack, or you're going to continue the Hudson operations.
We would like to move everything into Merrimack.
Okay, yeah, okay. That answered my question.
Hey, Jim, I can see where the 2 houses are. On the northeast corner of the property along Mast Road, there appears to be possibly truck trailers, but they show up on your plan also?
Yeah.
What are those?
I think there's part of the contractor's yard, he just stores a couple trailers over there.
But that's actually the property of Integra now?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so the current user we're trying to actually get a site plan at Crow's Nest. We'll be before you soon to move, to move this operation over to make way, but those trailers are not intended to be there as part of our final plan.
I like the plan. I'm very impressed with it, and I want to say welcome to Merrimack.
Thank you.
I agree with Lynn. Casey, Amanda, do you guys have anything you wanted to add to this by any chance?
Only that for the wetland impacts to the buffer area, there will need to be a zoning board approval for that.
Yes, absolutely. And we will put our best foot forward with that application, and the Concom has kept an open mind. We've had 2 meetings. We're now in the process of kind of finalizing our drawings and getting the formal applications to them so they can digest it. And then we'll ask them for their input to this board as well as zoning board, as well as the state as well. So,
Do you guys have a planned shovel on the ground date?
pardon?
Do you guys have a planned shovel on the ground date yet?
Winter, this coming winter we'd like,
Okay.
so.
Earlier the better for us, yes.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah, always.
And yes, it only last pandemic, I had to work 7 days a week, 12, 14-hour days. And we had to do a 15,000 square foot manufacturing for pipettes, clean room. Design it in 6 weeks and build it in 4.5 months. I used to be a Cub Scout and a Boy Scout. Always be prepared. So yes, I am pushing. It drives Jim crazy, but the thing is, I would like to have us, hitting the ground as soon as we can, just to be ready.
Excellent. I for one love it. I think it's beautiful. Is there any other comments?
It looks
Gentlemen,
good to me.
ladies? No?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We appreciate a meeting like this. Is very
Thank you.
helpful for both of us. And
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes.
we look
Likewise.
forward to seeing you in the near future.
Soon.
Sooner the
Thank you.
better.
Okay.
How you doing?
One moment.
How you doing, Jim?
Should I touch on the
Good to be
Let's
seen.
have the gentleman in the back corner.
You can ask. I don't think that's them, but you can
Sir?
ask.
Yeah, thank you.
Excuse me, sir? No, not.
No.
Gentleman in the back corner. Did you have anything to bring to the board?
No, I'm just saving extra supporting the project.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, so there is no one here from
Thank you very
the
much.
outlets. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right, so Planning and Zoning Administrator's report.
What happened to the car washer?
That's been pushed off.
Next.
That's all right.
Bear with me, just my
No,
computer's
you take
being a
your
little
time. I know
slow.
this one's all over the place.
Yeah. We just had only one administrative approval since your last meeting, and it was for an attached ADU. Yeah, so just the one.
Okay.
What was it? Yeah.
It was, what was that? It was
Administrative approval for an
180.
attached.
Yeah, an
ADU.
accessory dwelling unit. Sorry, I should not have used
ADU
the
is approved.
acronym.
Okay.
Yep.
And it's the approval of the minutes now.
I move we approve them as distributed.
Is there a second? All right, motion made by Lynn, seconded by Pete. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, all those abstaining, 700. And before I move to the last one, thank you very much, Amanda and Casey. I know it was a little chaotic the last couple of weeks, I'm sure. And thank you, everybody on the board. I appreciate it. And congratulations, Karen.
Congratulations, Helene.
Thank you. All right, with that said, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second? All right, motion made by Lynn, seconded by Nelson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those
Aye.
opposed, all those abstaining, 700. Thank you, everyone.